Welcome back, folks, to the Membership Machine Show. This is episode 10. This is our first show for 2023. I don't know where 2022 went, but it went somewhere. I've got my very patient co-host with me, Spence. So, Spence, Happy New Year. And would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
It's Spence from spencerforeman.com. The hub of all my other WordPress and freelance and business activity. And I want to welcome you. Very Happy New Year. I feel like I need to reach out and tickle you or something because you're very subdued today. Normally you're much friskier but maybe you just need a little coffee this morning.
I've had a lot of coffee already. Too much, actually.
Ridiculous
amount of coffee. In this show, we're going to be discussing the best quiz plugins for WordPress and SaaS services a bit. So it's going to be a mixture. We've got some great things to say about this. Also, if you've got any questions about membership websites, about the right plugin, you can join us live around 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. You can do that by going to the WP-Tonic YouTube channel or joining the Membership Machine Show's Facebook group. And the show is shown on there live, and you can ask us any questions on those two platforms. So, Spencer, I didn't really know how to approach this. Because obviously we support Lifter LMS and LearnDash, and they have their own quiz inbuilt. But what I thought the best way to start this is just to give a broad outline of some of the functionality that you think any of these solutions you should be looking for. So have you got any insights on a more kind of global, before we get into the specifics of how somebody could quantify the best solution for them, some of the key things they should be looking for?
Of course. I mean, I would say the number one thing is restraint. So quiz building goes into the same column as social networking. Over the many years of helping people who are doing social network features, with now Buddy Boss or through Facebook or a third party connected, I have to ask them why. It's kind of like the 5 whys, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to take on babysitting? Why do you want whatever? And when it comes to quizzes and things of that nature, I really think people need to say why. And there's really maybe one, perhaps 2 reasons that somebody needs to offer quizzes. Number one is certification. That is to say, we've had many clients who come to us that have a really profitable online model where they've taken something for a group of people. Maybe they are people who drive forklifts, or maybe they are people who are certified truck drivers, or maybe there's somebody who has like a bookkeeper or something, where the company offering the training is saying to a company who has employees, if you send them to our online site, we can give them the education, make them take a quiz, and prove that they know the stuff to hand out certificates, which saves you a fortune in aggravation and a fortune in insurance. Because by having a certification program that these people know how to drive forklifts, the insurance company is happy to give a discount. The second type of situation is for gamification purposes. It's still true, although a bit of a gimmick, that people who think at the end of the course or at the end of each lesson there's going to be a test, it's just like being in junior high school again, right? It's like, there's going to be a test on this. They're going to listen. They're going to pay attention more than if they can just skim through it otherwise. And I think that adds a perception of value. If you don't have a yes to either of those 2, why are you doing it, then leave the quizzes out. Because quite frankly, in today's world, people like to go through your content in whatever way they see fit, which also includes the sequential nature of a lot of stuff, right? Like some courses force you drip by drip to get stuff, and then you can't go backwards. that's arguably part of this conversation. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, thanks for that. I've kind of put about 6 key areas that I think you can measure these different plugin solutions, and that's ease of use, functionality, fundamentally what each solution can do, usability. People would say functionality and usability are mixed, and they'd be correct about that. But I think having a modern UX design and being easy to make a quiz, and for people, the look of the quiz is important. Branching logic, and price. So they were some of the key elements that I think you should have in your mind when you're looking at one of these solutions. Before we go into the meat and potato of the different solutions, we need to go for a break, and I've got a couple of messages from our key sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
We're coming back. I like to point out that you can get some special deals from some of the sponsors, plus a curated list of different solutions, plugins and other solutions that if you're building your membership website on WordPress, you will find really useful. Instead of having to spend hours scouring the internet, they're all in one place. To get all these goodies, all you have to do is go over to WP-Tonic/deals, WP-Tonic/deals, and they're all there. So let's go straight in it. You know, I did a bit of research, Spence. I'm not saying these are in no particular order. I just took what other people were promoting the most online and on YouTube, and I spent a couple of hours doing a dive because I haven't utilized all these solutions myself. So let's start off with and I've gone for the pro versions of everything. Some of these solutions have a really good free solution to some extent, but I've gone for all the lowest price pro level of all these solutions because I thought that would be the fairest, Spencer. So let's start off with WP Quiz Pro. I don't know if you've got any experience with this and what your initial views are on it, but over to you.
Well, I think it's really going back to the comment you made about a lot of the quiz features are built into a learning management system. I think it's important to realize that this is like a different situation to use this plugin, right? Like I can't imagine if you used any of the 3 or 4 LMSs that lead the pack like we spoke of last week. I mean, obviously LearnDash, Lifter, Tutor, Apprentice Pro, and so forth. Like if you got that, you've already got quizzes built in. You're not going to use this plugin or another plugin. This is for somebody who has like a unique situation. Maybe you're doing a webinar. Maybe you're doing a corporate event. Maybe you're doing something. So the thing that this reminds me of are those fun little gimmicks that we used to have in the past where you need a widget to engage people, right? So what kind of personality do you have, Jonathan? How many Oscar-nominated movies have you seen? And I think if you pair this together with something like marketing automation, it's it's a lead magnet.
How's that voice again? Oh dear.
This product has the graphics capability, the widgetized capability. It has advanced statistics. It has, you know, works with any theme agnostically. and there's pay to play. Like if you go through their feature list, this is a solid offering. And so it goes back to your moment ago conversation, even integration with some of the, I'm not saying you'd use this, but with your MailChimp or GetResponse, you can go through another method like we've talked about with WP Fusion. But the idea is like, this is a pretty comprehensive solution for building some kind of engaging, fun content to draw people into your list instead of the typical, I'll give you a PDF. And so for $57 for unlimited sites, that's pretty, it's single product, unlimited.
I think it's
interesting. I think they have a sale going on now. It's just $57 for the single product.
Yeah, that's what I've got
versus $199. I'm confused by their
yeah, I was a little bit.
I'm confused by their homepage sales thing because it says membership, access all themes and plugins. I think that's the difference. So if you just get the product itself and you don't need the themes and all the plugins, $57, or you get unlimited sites for, I guess, $199. And I don't know, honestly, is that a year? They need to fix that part.
Yeah, they do. My thoughts about this is the only thing, it does a lot for the price. Like I say, but the thing is, if you're really serious about courses, you're going to use a learning management system like Lifter or LearnDash. So, but the other thing is, I notice, like you mentioned, you can use something like WP Fusion, but in the plugin, it connects to a couple of email services. I think the two were MailChimp.
Yeah, MailChimp and GetResponse.
It was a little bit limited there. And the interface is okay. It's very basic WordPress-ish. What I mean is it's not that polished in UX design, but that's a good thing or a bad thing because you can take it too far. It's totally divorced from WordPress, literally. But I think what you said is fair. Let's go on.
But that's, by the way, I mean, I want to just point out, it matters more to me in these kinds of things what it spits out, and that's universal, than what the back end looks like. Because in this case, again, chances are good this is to drive somebody to a lead magnet opportunity. You're using this to engage them, to give you their email. Like I want to use one use case here where this kind of stuff would be perfect for. It used to be possible on Facebook, if you grew a large audience, whether you're a public profile or whether you're private, to like get everybody into Yahoo. You could import all your Facebook friends into Yahoo email. There's no way now that I'm aware of legally to get your people off of Facebook other than to ask them to do something. And for me, that's like a problem that I'm facing because I really don't need or want any more professional, quote, friends. I would like followers, but what I want is anybody who wants to engage with me to get over to my list where I can have a meaningful interaction with them. So something like this could be quite interesting. Like, here's a quiz for freelancers about ABCDE. Click here, and if you get the right answer, you get a prize. And it's like now an encouragement and inducement.
Yep. On to the next one. I'm actually interviewing the founder and developer in February of this actual plugin, and it's Smart Quiz Builder. Very feature rich. Was on AppSumo that I bought into that. I haven't spent enough time with it. My only, I won't say it's a criticism, is that the interface and what it produces in UX design terms could be a little bit polished, but when it comes to the actual functionality side, it offers a lot. I don't know if you've looked at this. It's been on your radar. What's your foot?
Is this Vina you're going to have on the show?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a solid offering. It's deeply integrated with a lot of, I'll call them email products, not marketing automation necessarily. Her history I appreciate the fact, because we've talked about this before, she's very clear. I'm Vina. I'm the co-developer or co-founder, and I also have another product, DAP, Digital Access Pass, which is a membership plugin that's been around for some time, as I recall. Anyway, so I like the fact it's priced right. It's deep integration. You know who it is. You're back into the like yogurt aisle of the supermarket, right? There's 47 different brands of yogurt and different packages and different flavors. You maybe just have to try one or two of them to see. But it's nice to know. Like I listened to the Chobani story on. I listened to Guy Raz's podcast, and how I built this, and I listened to the Chobani founder story. That made me want to engage with Chobani as much as the fact that I usually eat FIO yogurt. And that's kind of the thing I feel here, that they have a solid product, you know who it is, try it out. And if you have the need for their other stuff, then so much the better. But that's the reality of what we're reviewing here, is that there's going to be 7-8 products that all essentially are undifferentiated from everybody, other than these nuanced things. Who made it? How does it feel?
Yeah,
Does it taste good?
I think compared to some of the other ones, it's very feature rich. It does have a branching logic builder. That's pretty cool. The price is attractive. I think the UX design side of it, back and front, could be improved. Functionality, it's got a lot of functionality. Easy use, I think it's pretty easy to use, as any of them. So it's got some real strengths and it's got a couple of weaknesses, but overall it's a solid product from a solid team. She's a serious person.
I mean, when you look at the features, which are nice, like I've talked about already today, lead data, right? So it scores the leads that come in, and I don't mean scoring like their quiz number, but like who's better lead or not. They have statistics if that's useful. And then there's also like some graphical elements, but they all ultimately are like in a funnel arrangement. Now, this is unusual to me, but as I was suggesting, I see this as part of a larger sales funnel onboarding / value ladder proposition. I find it hard to believe, unless somebody was in the educational space, that they're going to need to do like infinite numbers of these other than for onboarding. Because once you have enough data about quizzes, it seems to me like there's going to have to be the educational part too, right? Like, so getting in people is one thing, but once they're in, you kind of need the LMS to teach people stuff. And then why not weave those into the actual courses? So maybe it works in conjunction with something that way, because it does give you a lot of interesting data. Back to the main point though, nobody needs and wants a 747. So what happens is, there's 30 features and I just need that one. And that's what you end up buying the product for. And maybe the rest you just ignore.
Yeah. On to another really popular and is on all the review lists that if you do a search on this, comes up. It's Quiz Survey Master. I got the impression that it's very similar to WP Quiz in what it offers and who might be interested. What's your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think there's a slight difference between quizzes, exams, and surveys, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Like, right? So if anything, I would lean heavily on the S of the QSM, because like we talked a couple weeks ago, the difference between booking and events, it's different. A booking is like a fixed, tangible thing, like a hotel room, where an event is everybody come to the concert kind of a thing. And so I think this is one where if you were really needing a survey, like Survey Monkey, I don't know if that's on our list, maybe that's the next one coming up, but like
I didn't know. See, I was in two minds to add that to the SaaS element of this show, because it's surveys, but maybe I should have done, because they are separate, but they are very thanks for pointing that out. They are.
I mean, it doesn't mean the other feature doesn't exist. It does an amazing job, but I'm saying like maybe that's a differentiator for this product versus another is on the pricing, it's expensive. I mean, it's more than the others. It looks really cool, but it's not $39. It's, you're starting at $129. So for basic.
Yeah, but the UX design and that to my mind, is more modern. But you are totally correct. It's a lot more money. You're just going to have to look at all these. And I totally agree with Spencer. I think you're going to be looking at this if you're looking at some quiz functionality, but it's more the survey side of it.
You know what I mean? It's not so much that it doesn't exist. I'm saying, like, if you needed a quiz builder, look at a $39 product.
Yeah.
If you needed a survey builder, compare it against other survey products, because I think that's where you're paying for a different, like a Tiffany box instead of going to Costco for an engagement ring.
Yeah. Let's go to, you see, I think it was quite interesting. Let's go to the next one. I was going to say extreme, but that'd be slightly inappropriate, but a very different solution in some ways. Hopefully I'm going to make some sense here. I'm not even sure myself. QuizCat. I'm going to rely on. I was in two minds about
Wait,
this.
are you talking about are we talking Fat Cat apps?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And in this particular one, it's called QuizCat. It's got a more focus about it. It's more simplistic, but they've got a track record, and I've interviewed the founder of this. He's a good businessman, and they make some well-focused, easy to use, well-priced micro plug-in offerings, don't they? Am I on the right track here, or you think I'm losing it a bit?
I mean, when you go to the pricing page and you look at the features, you can see that they're specifically focused on the thing that I feel like this is the appropriate tool to use. The elite in business focus on the fact, besides social share and personality tests and quiz colors, you could do Facebook pixel integration, weighted quizzes, grow your email list, spreadsheet export, analytics. This is a tool that it's priced fairly for especially like the business level, because I don't think there's no difference. This is what's interesting too. I like this, to be honest. Unlimited sites versus 3 sites, priority email versus regular email for another $70. I think it'd be just fine if you went with the business and got used to using it. That's a pretty fair deal. It's like 20 something bucks a site for growing a list by having clever personality quizzes of like, what kind of freelancer are you, or whatever your business model is. Yeah. And it leads into the same result. So there is a demo on this one. I think the QSM has a demo. I think any company that doesn't have a demo is just doing a disservice, because again, one of my relationships is with like InstaWP, Vicus. There's so many ways you can just set up a demo of your product if you got a WordPress based site. Like, you're killing people if you don't, because how else are they going to know whether it feels good? So I like that there's a demo. And
they've been going for a few years. He had a popular podcast, but he stopped doing that. But him and his team have been around a long time, and he knows. I forgot. I think
Dave Henberger, right?
Yeah, Hamburger.
Again, he's got his team, and Ryan and Andrew. He's got his whole Gavin.
Yeah.
The fact that the team's there is very helpful.
Yeah. They know what they're doing, and he's a decent guy. I've done some business with him. He's a decent guy, and he knows, and his team know what they're doing. So I've got no hesitate. If it's the right solution, it's a bit similar to Smart Quiz Builder. I've got no problem about, because that's before we go for our break. I think that's the other thing you've got to keep in mind, which a lot of just website owners, and I'm not being patronizing here, rather than developer types, power implementers, is I also think having a track record and choosing solutions that have a track record and a history and have an About Us page, and who's behind it, their history is important in a way. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and added benefit. It's a requirement in my view. We do this with all our products and our clients. The 30-day minimum, no questions asked. Refund, they have a 60-day. right on the About Us page. So they're hitting all the right buttons, in my view, to build credibility and trust and make this a no-brainer. They have several products that are kind of related to the same topic, right? Landing page cat, opt-in cat, easy pricing table, cat should be pixel cat. They left the cat off the tables. I'm not sure why. And quiz cat. Well, it's a suite of tools for somebody who's doing exactly what we're talking about, which is trying to get people from the public into your list, as they should. And then from that standpoint, if you know that you can buy any or all their products, know who made it, ask questions, put the face, and get a refund if it's a drag, you have nothing.
Yeah, the other thing I like the way he's done this is that they're micro. I call them micro plugin solutions. So it's not him and his team have never attempted to build a all-embracing WordPress Swiss Army knife solution with a quasar walled garden around it, which some other people have gone down that path, and I'm not having a go at them, but it doesn't really appeal to me, because to me, if you're going to go down that route, you might as well just go down the SaaS route. So
we've talked about the platform versus feature.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they rightfully are sticking in their lane. Like, these products are very similar, lightweight. The interface is simple. And I'm going to not pick a fight here, but I'm going to use a comparative. Okay. News recently of another utility plugin, like one of the duplicator plugins, just got bought out by the big company with a history of doing naughty black cat in your face, change the price, blah, blah, blah. In a world where you have a choice, it's my opinion that you should always buy from the team of individuals, or group of individuals who are sweating it out one-on-one, instead of buying it from the corporate overlord that's going to try to black hat you into upsells and all the other stuff, and is saying one thing and doing another. I really appreciate the transparency here, and it's unfortunate every time one of those decent utility plugins, instead of being folded into core, gets sucked up into the cloud of that scenario. And so this is a company I would definitely high five anybody to try out the stuff on those reasons alone, and so forth.
That's great. We're going to go for our middle break, folks. We've got some messages from some of our other sponsors. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We've had a bit of a dive in the world of quiz plugins. I just want to point out
that there were so many quiz plugins.
Yeah, we got some more. I just want to point out, if you're looking for WordPress to build your membership e-learning business on, it's a great decision, but you need a quality host provider that specializes in membership community websites. Have a look at WP-Tonic. Our hosting plans are great value. We offer a suite of plugins, all designed. They're the best of breed, and they're there to help you, plus ongoing support, knowledge, and a number of other features as part of our hosting packages. To go over there to find out more, go over to WP-Tonic. We'd love you to become part of the tribe. So on we go to our journey. Another really popular solutions that's on all the WordPress quiz lists when you do a Google search is, but I haven't got much knowledge of it, is ARI Stream Quiz Pro. What's your thoughts about this one? It's very it's got a very competitive,
very inexpensive
price. Yeah, very.
$17. Well, first of all, basic looks free. Personal $17, developer $25, and that's lifetime access.
Yeah.
Now this is an interesting conversation, because I want to talk about like how that works into somebody's lifestyle business model. Expectations are set unrealistically oftentimes in WordPress over what you should get for $39 a year. Okay. Like in the real world, if Jonathan and I went out to lunch, which we did, by the way, there's a picture proving it. We were actually together in the same room twice. I would buy lunch or you would buy lunch, and we wouldn't be thinking like, oh, that's a bad investment. It's like you got a lot out of that relationship, seeing somebody in person, and it was a good lunch, and that you're satisfied. But in the WordPress world, for some reason, people previously have been conditioned to think $39 versus $42. I got to think about this all weekend. Well, go over to the other side of the table in terms of what you expect when somebody's up front and says, look, it's $25, but you're never going to hear from me again. It actually sounds pretty good because $25 is really low, but it's only a couple bucks less than the annual fee. The downside for the developers, of course, is that's a one-shot deal. And so they can't support it. They can't really be around for people, but they can produce maybe like really good stuff and people can get throwaway value. Like, well, it worked well, but I didn't like it, but it was $25. It was like having lunch with my friend. Who cares? So this is the first product that we've talked about that goes onto that side of the table. It's like disposable mindset, but because they have a demo and their website is very professional, I think it's fair. I have no clue who develops this, to be honest.
No, this is the problem. It's the same thing you can say about WQuiz Pro, I think, and Quiz Survey Master. I might be wrong there, but I'm just going by my memory. And at my age, I'm probably wrong to do that. But that's one of the things. There is no way of finding out who these people are, is there?
It's like Envato stuff we talked about a few shows ago, where, and I think this is one case where it doesn't make a difference. If it does what it says it does in the demo and in the docs, and he paid $17, you're on your own. Too bad. You had lunch, you ate, maybe you had a question about what's on the menu tomorrow. We're not giving you that information. But compare that to if you paid $39 or $79 a year and you could email and bother people. I mean, that's essentially what you're paying for, which, by the way, goes to the larger picture. This year, besides all the stuff that I promised from last year that I delivered, this year I am moving wholeheartedly towards the concept of like my own plugin being a cloud-based solution, a hosted solution, because the majority of people who pay for it fall into one of two categories. They were people who bought that lifetime deal through AppSumo or otherwise, who like put it on a shelf and think it's an NFT that somebody in the future is going to want, and they never use it. Or there are people who are actually using it, for whom giving them the like price point and the utility of like ready to use is all the value in the world. Like, I just wanted to sell one thing in a sales funnel, and this is like, boom, I paid to rent it for a month or two. So I like the idea of WordPress changing from the way that it's been, which is kind of nonsense, like paying plugin authors annually for support, into more of a, what am I actually buying?
I don't know what you're going to do. I have to look, but I think giving options is a great, giving people different options is a great idea.
It's a great idea, but the pain that we've had, and that's where some of these really shine in the quiz thing, is WordPress has to date been, you either are buying the parts at the Home Depot, or you're buying somebody's expertise and they're putting together the parts like a home builder. There's never really been like an off-the-shelf, here's a thing, like I just need a quiz for a funnel and I can rent it, or I need a sales funnel for, rent it. And I think that's something that needs to exist in our ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. I think the more solutions there are, the better. On to the next one. Right. Thrive Quiz Builder. Really a powerful tool, $97 for a year starting off. Has a lot of functionality, really great usability design, very polished. It's got branching logic as well, and ease of use. It is easy to use, but there's some elements to that. Before I put my oar in, what's your views of Thrive Quiz Builder?
I was hoping, I didn't see it under the tree or under my menorah this year, that this would be the year that Thrive, the two companies would get together and one of them would give up the name, because there's two companies in WordPress with Thrive, and I can never figure out which product is associated with which one, because they each now have multiple products. And I think
This is Thrive Themes.
this just hurts me at a marketing
Yeah.
level. So I don't know who the hell this is. I think this is Thrive Themes.
Yes, it's
Quiz
Shane,
Builder.
and I interviewed the CEO. She's very lovely lady.
Hannah,
Hannah,
right?
Hannah,
Yeah.
yes.
So
lovely
like
lady.
last show or the show before, I screwed up because I associated their product incorrectly, but I knew who they were. So this is another example. They've got the other products, including the LMS that I think Apprentice, as I recall, right? It's them, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the one with Thrive Cart, and it's like the sales funnel.
It's confusing, isn't it? But you know, it's not their fault, is it?
It's $97 a year. It's fine. I'm going to go with my default answer for these guys because this is what I said last time, and I'm going to say it again now. And I actually had this conversation with a new client we onboarded yesterday. They are sort of a pseudo agency content creator. They had a client who has all of the Thrive Architect, Thrive Themes, Thrive Apprentice. They don't like it, but they have to use it. And I said, well, keep using it then. Because like once you're in with one foot, you're in with both feet. And once you're in with both feet, you might as well just stick it out because getting out of it is a mess.
I think you just pointed out, which I was hoping you were going to point out, is this actual plugin, which you can now buy individually. They changed their business model because you used to have to buy a all-in buffet monthly to get all their plugins, but now they've changed and you can buy them individually. But the actual functionality of the quiz plugin and what you're getting, it offers a lot if you want that lot. But the main problem I have with it is that you've got to use their page builder, you've got to use Architect, and in the world of ever increasing Gutenberg, I think either you're going to stay with Elementor, or this is just my opinion, you're going to keep in the world of Elementor or Divi. It's a surprising amount of people that really love Divi.
By the way, Divi, by the way, is very speedy in version 5.
Yeah.
Same answer though. If you're using Divi, there's now a lifeline to stick around with it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have an association with Divi, like don't start a bad habit right now. You know, don't go out and buy a pack of smokes.
Please, Divi people, don't send me an email. I love you. But I think in the world of Gutenberg, ever increasing polishness and it's just a train, isn't it? You know, you at some stage you're going to have to decide to jump on the train because you're just going to be wiped out otherwise, aren't you?
Anybody who goes back and watches the show where we talked about the LMSs will hear me say, and I say this again, sometimes I say this all the time, the tool that you use doesn't matter to the client. If you're doing this for the client and they've got stuff that's a legacy, stick with it. If they've got all the Thrive theme company stuff, or God forbid the Thrive card stuff, you know, don't break it unless it gives you a benefit for changing. And in this case, this is just one more of several tools that work together. And again, they're a small company. Hane is very progressive. She understands the problem that they have. But like we talked about at the time, they can't get themselves out of this problem easily. No. So maybe I don't know, they're thinking like, we just stick with what we got. And for the people that stick around, we're going to make it good for them. And that's fine too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, wagon wheels need to be made for people with wagons.
Yeah. On to the next one, which was another debate in my mind, because there's a lot of form plugins out there. And a lot of them offer kind of quiz survey functionality. Now, this particular form offer, you're going to have to go to the business level, but they do offer a lot of functionality. And these people have been around quite a while as well. And that's Formidable Forms. What's your thoughts about this? Be nice.
I appreciate and understand your logic. I reject your premise on its face, but not because you're wrong or that I don't think you're on the right track, but rather this is like somebody who goes out and buys a Ginsu knife set because they need a plastic knife to spread some cream cheese on their bagel. Like, this is in no way, shape, or form necessary to buy the $199 holy cow, what the hell have I got myself into? And if you were going to go that direction, I would go with Gravity Forms or Fluent Forms or something else that like is just native, lightweight, other purpose plugin. I mean, Gravity Forms is the granddaddy, has every option under the sun for doing quizzes and so forth, but that's not really what I think of using it for. That's like the, while I'm at it, I've got Gravity Forms and I can do this stuff. Whereas we're talking, I think today mostly about, you know, quizzes directly. So I'm going to throw it in the dustbin from the list for anybody to consider. And I wouldn't even recommend this, quite frankly, as the forms choice for WordPress. I mean, it is a quality product. It's been around forever, but I don't think it's the right choice for 99% of what people want to do. I would, you know, we haven't done our form show yet, have we?
Oh, well, no, we're gonna have to do that next week, maybe.
Okay, when we do our form show, we'll lay all the things out on the table, all the blood and guts. But like right now, it's my answer of earlier in the show.
What?
Most people won't use all of the features of this. So as a forms plugin, no way.
All right. I'm a little bit. I'm not so adamant.
You're torn because between the two of us, I'm the one who has zero sponsorship interest in anything I say or do.
These people are never going to sponsor me because they get money from a certain individual. So they're never going to sponsor this show.
I'm the kid in the Emperor's New Clothes
because
story.
of the things you and a former host Andrew have said about these people. So that which got me into a lot of hot water.
I want to say, by the way, I've had some of our listeners, which I appreciate, or viewers. You've said that some of them come to you for professional help, which is a great thing from this show. We've helped educate them. I've had more than a few people from our last few shows directly contact me and say, Spence, it's really refreshing how you are owned by no one and tells me what I was thinking, but didn't know if I was on the right track. Because the truth is actually very obvious for most people when you kind of like clear out the fog.
I'm just trying to, you know, my resolution for 2023 was to not upset so many people in the WordPress space.
I cannot make that promise.
Because let's be frank about it, Spencer, they're very easy to upset. Let's be frank about it.
I think that's, as I get older, I do not seek out any trouble, but trouble finds me. And I have become very good as I'm
trying to reform my ways because let's be frank about it, Spencer. I am the top of the list on a few people's list as a target.
I'd like to be right there with you, but you know, Clint Eastwood in his later movies plays the angry, get off my lawn, kids, old man. And I feel like to a certain extent, there has to be, from us granddaddies in this business, a certain amount of clarity for the kids coming in at the bottom end who don't know what the politics and history are. Because right now we're in an evolutionary phase of WordPress, whether it's from the top down or from the other makers and even the ones I referred to. The hype is not matching the reality, and the goal of all of this is not necessarily what they're trying to sell to people. And I think if we're clear about it, we're offering a very good service here because, again, most of what we're talking about today are features, and there's some that are better matched for other people, but we're not talking about any of the, woo, it comes from so-and-so, and therefore it must be great. That's not necessarily true.
No, they all got strengths and weaknesses. That's the reality. Like people have strengths and weaknesses. I've got so many I think I've got some strengths, but I've got a long list of weaknesses. But
none of the things you're talking about, thankfully, and none of the things I'm talking about ever are ad hominem attacks. We're not talking about the individual human beings here. We're talking about the products, and that's fair. That's the way it goes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, make a good product, market it the right way, and you're going to get a high five from critics like us about what's the best match.
Well, let's wrap it up by a quick tour of some of the SaaS solutions because, you know, a bit like Booking or Calendar, utilizing a SaaS solution with a WordPress website is totally, in the right circumstances, the right decision. So let's have a quick tour. There's a lot of them, and this isn't extensive because we'll be here all day, and Spencer's got better things to do, and I need to get to Reno this morning.
I've got to answer all my hate mail.
Yeah, there we go. So let's have a quick tour of the SaaS world. Let's start off with Typeform, which is got popularity through a certain type of interface. I think they're based in Spain. I think the company's based in Barcelona, if my memory's going right, and very popular in this style of form that they really were the originators of. Am I right about that? What's your views?
I think you're right on both counts, right?
Yeah.
So they have.
Can you say, you don't often say that? Can you say that again?
You're doing much better starting in 2023, but like I think this show is after 15 plus years of knowing each other, this is the incarnation of all of our stuff in a format that works, because I have nothing about what you say that I disagree with necessarily. It's different flavors, but a lot of times, in the past, we've gone off into the trenches of unrelated. Here, we're focused on, okay, bigger company, SaaS. We know who they are. We know where they're from. Joaquim, David, Carrie, it's all up for us to see. So that builds trust, even a large one. Typeform as a name has a big brand by now. I mean, they've been around forever. I didn't look up their Crunchbase credentials, but I think they probably even have investment in it. And the point is, I would probably bookmark this for our form show, because I don't think that this really qualifies as a quiz builder. No, I really don't. And so as a form builder, similar to a couple of these other ones, it's great. But, for a SaaS company, you can't just have a one-trick pony necessarily. You kind of have to cover a lot of bases. So I think that's why, they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think let's go. I think you're totally right. I was in two minds about it, but they're such a big player and are well known. Let's go. I think you're going to say that. I think you're going to say the similar thing to B, and I was in two minds about. And that I'm going to.
By the way, sorry. $187 million of funding. $187 million. 12 employees. 15 investors. Now, this sort of changes my whole situation, because founded, I don't know where it's founded exactly. I got to look, but $187 million for a 12-person company.
I know, it's just mind blowing, isn't it? It's just.
I don't even know where to begin with that, because I'd have to do some further research.
Well, I wish I'd found a 12-person company.
We got a Series C round. Hold on. So their seed round was $550,000, and oh my God, they just took $135 million last year. So it was founded in 2013. I don't know what the Kool-Aid is that they're drinking over in Barcelona, but like this one, I don't know what their revenue is, but they're not a public company. I don't know what's going on.
You don't need to know. You just need to look at those figures, because they are printing money. They are printing.
Money. They're not printing money. They're printing
forms
investment. I don't know if that's a debt or equity, but like it looks like it's an equity.
Right.
So
on to the next one, which is similar. How do you always struggle? Woofu? How do you pronounce it?
Woofu. I know the company from back in the days when I was a kid entrepreneur. Loved them. This started out, the guy and a couple partners in California loved his story. He sold it. Loved the concept, used the product. It was revolutionary at the time. I don't know who owns it now. Now I'm going to look it up in Crunchbase. But as a product, it was brilliant 15, 16 years ago. It was like when originally 37 Signals came out with Basecamp. Woofu was in the same frame of mind. It was Animoto, and those days, like everything was, oh, this is so cool. I can't believe the world I'm living in. But right now,
I think I think it's the same story in our. It's more appropriate in a form show. The reason, one of the reasons why I added these, Spencers, is when you do a search under Google, they come up in these lists and other things. But I don't think so. Let's go on to the other one, which I think. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I'm doing my Crunchbase on these guys. As correct, it's only some private funding, like $100,000 over time. They were bought by Momentive, which is a company that owns SurveyMonkey.
Oh yeah.
And I remember hearing on either Andrew Warner's show or maybe it was some other show. I heard about the story where the founder sold out because he had started and got his, and it was a really good company and still is. But now this is a good example of same business, SaaS, huge history, $100,000 of outside investment versus $187 million, and there's 3 employees. So this makes sense to me.
Right. On to the next one, which I think is slightly more appropriate, and that's Interact. Having I looked at it, I was reasonably impressed with what they're offering. I don't know if they've gone on your radar at all.
I don't know these guys.
Offers more quizzes, surveys at a competitive price. Like modern interface design, UX design. Haven't used it myself, but I think it's a plausible on your list of solutions if you're looking at WordPress or combining it with a SaaS solution.
2013. No outside money. The founder is Josh Haynam, San Francisco. They have maybe 4 employees, maybe something like that. I don't know anything else about them, but it sounds like, they got, it says maybe 90,000 users. It sounds like they're doing a nice little, tiny company, not making a lot of squeaky noises or anything crazy because there's no private equity, but they're focusing on a problem. So I don't, honestly, I've never touched this product, never heard about it before, but I'm not scared off. 187 million.
You can't get over that. You just can't get over.
I'm gonna have to sit down after the show because
he's gonna have to have a rest. On to the next one. Profs. What a name. Really great price. I'm just gonna. I apologise. We're gonna have a slight break. So, Spencer, I don't know much about these people. I think you've just done some research.
Right. I was giving us some facts. Go on. This looks like an aggregation play. So this company is in Los Angeles. It doesn't indicate that there's any private equity, but I'm sure they have a lot of cash because they basically acquired 4 companies in the last couple of years, and they have on their website, stated policy of they want to be a 100-year company. The founder and so forth seems well situated, the Samir Bhatia, to basically be putting together an aggregation of various products that are for productivity and marketing automation and other things. But the bottom line is, I don't have an opinion about the product and the way that they've set this up. I have I don't want to say it doesn't have any applicability here, but I feel like this is an orange in a conversation about apples.
Yeah, I do understand why you're saying this, but my view about it is that, and I don't want to come across snobbish, but I am a bit of a UX snob because I did my degree and I did my master's in UX design, which I don't know if you were aware of, Spencer. I've actually got a master's.
I did not know that, but now I do.
I actually got a master's in UX design from the London School of Print and Design. It's got, compared to some of the other, not the form focus, but the actual quizzes, survey focused, it's rather got old facing design.
Yeah, but because look at who the customers are. It says trusted by 15 million people globally, and all of those are enterprise customers. So if I'm making a guess based upon what I just saw in Crunchbase and what I see there and through the interface, it's an aggregation of companies that have software that they're building into a sort of de facto suite that they offer no doubt some kind of like really good guaranteed support licenses for enterprises so that when they use it, their employees aren't left out in the blue. There's probably like a call center to pro profs. They can answer questions. If you think of something like one of the CRMs we've talked about, like Zoho, right? It's kind of like putting a virtual Zoho together of components that other companies built into something they sell to enterprise.
That's a good way.
You know,
Well, Zolo is going to be hopefully when they send.
But I'm saying like their companies.
I've got good news. I've got good news actually, because that's the other thing we didn't talk about Zolo. But hopefully they're going to be sponsoring the show.
But I want to make it clear, because like we're talking to people in our audience. There's no enterprise employees in our audience. Their bosses, their overlords pick the software for the company. We're talking about entrepreneurs or agencies or freelancers, and nobody would use this kind of a product because this is not oriented towards that. It's oriented towards.
I see where you're coming from, but the prices. On to the next one. Outgrow. I haven't used it. I did watch some videos, went to the website. I was quite impressed for $14. $14 start off with. I think you're getting quite a lot for your money. And my similar view to Interact. Don't know much. Until I did this research, I don't know much about the company. I've never used it with a client out of anger. Got any thoughts about? I don't know if these people have ever been on your radar.
They're not on my radar. I did the Crunchbase, and so they're basically like a SaaS version of the same kind of interactive tools, like calculators and fun quizzes and so forth. Private company. Looks like maybe only 1 to 3 employees. It says 11 to 50, but only 3 of them are in LinkedIn. The founder or the contact is Ashke Saluja, so I'm not sure where they're based, but it says headquarters in Greater New York area. Founders Pratham Mittal and Randy Reyes. Again, sounds like a software as a service solution for something that maybe we found in a plugin otherwise. And the pricing is reasonable. I mean, so freelancer, $14 a month, $25 a month for the next level and so forth, goes up to like a $600 a month. But this looks like that of all the SaaS things we talk about, this is something that's like one of those, I'm looking for something entertaining to get a lead magnet funnel put together to bring people in. I kind of want to go back to the comment I made, which you didn't put off, but like, I don't think we should just leave this aside. In a world of software, if you go to like G2 to look at software, like there is an entire separate universe of software, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of companies who make the same stuff and compete with each other to enterprise. Will never know or think about anything that is in our world of WordPress or standalone website stuff, because the people who are using it are 67 levels removed from the technology people who are at the enterprise running the servers for the corporation. Whereas in our world, that's usually the same 1 or 2 people, right? So the people who make choices about what to use for marketing in an enterprise for this are nowhere near the people that are deciding to buy it or sell it or install it.
I'm in 2 worlds because I have half a dozen enterprise Fortune. I've got 2 clients that Fortune 500 customers, and of that half.
Who are you dealing with at that level? What's the position of the person?
Well, I deal with on a kind of quarterly. I do deal with board level, but on a weekly, monthly, they're not. They're junior members of the team. But on a quarterly or 6 month, I have a Zoom meeting with somebody on the board level. But they're on the marketing side, marketing.
And so I'm going to make a bet here, because for my enterprise clients, which it's painful to deal with, there's a smart person at the marketing level who needs a pain solved. We come to a solution, we talk about the software, we give them choice A or B or C. The choice A is typically built into their WordPress side of things. It's lightweight, it's simple, it works. but then they go present it to their higher ups, who then bring it to the decision makers, to the board, to the, 5 steps, 5 conversations, 5 decisions. And 9 out of 10 times, the person higher up tells them, no, we're going with this other thing that's completely unrelated to all the things we talked about. Why? Because if I don't choose that, I'm going to look stupid because somebody else told me at a cocktail party to choose this other enterprise product that's 100 times more money and doesn't do. But if I choose that, I'll look like I was following the right advice versus I'm going to trust you, the person actually doing the work, to make a decision. So that's the difference I'm getting at. It's like, we're not going to change corporate behavior here, but corporate buying is completely different than the person who's actually the one getting the results or using the tool. And again, I don't know anything about this product, but why would you use this if you could just buy a plugin?
So let's finish off. On the WordPress side of it, if you were that type of client that you pointed out at the beginning of this conversation that wasn't looking to use a learning management system, they were doing, it was more around marketing automation and using quizzes to get more interactive. Everything you outlined. Of all the WordPress plugins, would you choose it, or is there a solution that I never found that you would lean more to, or of what we talked about in the WordPress world? Of any of these, would you choose any of them?
I would say, here's how I would sum it up. Remember I talked about the whys. Okay. So first off, I would have somebody ask, why do I need the quizzes at all, and take on that burden? If it's something that has to do with an LMS, put the LMS in. Go watch our membership show or otherwise, maybe Learn-Lifter, so on and so forth. Use the quiz stuff in there. Now, if you're using for lead funnels and so forth, and you want to bring people onto your site, into your CRM or otherwise, of these choices, the ones we talked about that seemed the most appealing for that purpose, I believe would be, number 1, which was WP Quiz. And I also thought, having talked about all the details, high five to number 4, QuizCat, with, the fact that like the whole team was there and they've got the clever stuff. I liked the kind of output of WP Quiz and it was fun, but QuizCat also had some clever stuff. The other ones are worth mentioning for the reasons we talked about. Go try them out. They've all got demos. And I, again, even like as a nice mention to Hane and her team, but like, if you're already using Thrive, just go over to Thrive Quiz Builder. Like, just get it over with, because unless you're escaping the gravity of their other stuff, who cares? And I would definitely not recommend, no offense to them, but like, I don't think Formidable Forms or the other forms were really a fit for this. They might come, like Typeform and so forth, they might come into our other show. Even honorable mention, like I wouldn't necessarily.
Oh yeah, you just jumped. I was going to ask you of the kind of SaaS-based solutions. I don't know if there's anything on your radar that's better than the ones I listed.
This gets to the last thing I just said, which is if you've got a customer or you are a person for yourself, for your client, using WordPress, you want to remove as many external dependencies as possible. We talked about this in the CRM show. There is nothing about the plugins that is lacking. So if you can choose a WordPress plugin that you own and control, can be backed up, it's in your data set, it works natively, use that instead of.
Yeah, I do agree with you, but there was, like, I think it was before our last show, before the break, you were saying that when it came to the booking calendar, you use Calgary.
Calendly.
Right. I always struggle, I apologize.
Yeah. So the reason that is true, because although I actually have one of the people who reached out to me, I'll leave it until future conversation, was one of the people from our show who produces one of the plugins, because I think they maybe took to heart what we were talking about. Right now, for my purposes, there was one plugin that I had mentioned, that WP-Cal.io. That's not who reached out to me, who was really close to what Calendly can do. But because of all the other problems and other blah, 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 nothing else did the thing that Calendly does at the moment. But if should somebody, maybe even this other plugin author, get that functionality sorted out as a feature, I'd be like, bye-bye Calendly. And that's the bottom line. The bottom line.
Well, there's a big opportunity, because none of the solutions, there's some good solutions, some good players in the booking calendar space in WordPress, but none of them have totally hit the sweet spot far as
Right.
I'm
Right.
concerned.
Too much, not enough, too many complications. I will say this. I just did I want to say like spencerforeman.com is my hub, but what I've done for all my training and my daily quick tips as part of my 2023 resolution, I went back to my daily stuff. I made a video this week about a new client I onboarded who's a massage therapist, and I'm showing some of the things I integrated. With her, I use the same simple Calendly setup, and the ability to just connect that one service to WordPress for just that particular minimal thing is so low friction, and there's really not a big downside to it because it's kind of disposable. Like once somebody's in your system and once they make a booking, if you ever pulled that out and put in a new calendar system, it's not like you got to move the data because you already know who the users were. So for that reason, if there is something in the like field of what we're talking about, quiz builders and so forth, if you found something compelling as a SaaS service, not the end of the world if it's outside, as long as the person onboards to your system in WordPress first.
Exactly.
But price-wise, complexity-wise, if it's a plugin, better. And that's my bottom line answer, is that I can't.
Well, what surprised me, just to wrap it up, what surprised me in some ways, there's a lot more choice when it comes to quizzes, surveys in the WordPress space than the actual booking calendar space in some ways.
A lot more. Yeah, because this is an older, remember, like we were talking about Wufoo. This is going back to 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. Like I was involved in WordPress since 2006, but I remember the golden age when the websites started to get SaaS services and there was funding. There was a ton of cool companies that came out of that, even like some of the sales funnel stuff, right? Like Clayton, I forget his name, and Drip got sold to them. I can't remember, Lead Pages, right? Clay Collins. Like there was all these cool SaaS services that suddenly we could connect to. But now things have moved on, and those have started to become WordPress components as plugins. And in doing so, I think it's important for us to kind of use the Nathalie as an example of like, be very cautious about introducing a plugin into your ecosystem that's a feature versus a framework, because you don't want to take a whole framework and shove it into your site. You want just the one plugin that does the one thing well. And in the forms, there's a whole bunch of them. But in the quizzes, my God, there must be 500 different things that can do quizzes, right? I mean, quizzes is just a glorified CMS or LMS with some graphics on it. So I would just be selective, try a few of the ones we talked about, and then use it for the right purpose. But be sure that you're doing it in a way, honestly, that onboards the user into your CRM, into your automation, because that's the whole point here. Otherwise, you're wasting time.
We're going to wrap it up now, folks. Thank you so much, Spence. It's been a fun show. If you need any advice, both me and Spencer run the Membership Machine Facebook group. Do a search on Facebook, join it. You've got any questions, I'm sure Spencer, it will come up with Spencer or myself, and we will try and help you. And just join the community there. And you can also watch the live show on that group every Friday, and then ask us questions live by joining that. We will be back next week. I think we've got next week's topic, which is going to be forms. That's great. And we will be back soon. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.